YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Today I'm going through every NFL team and giving you their secret weapon for 2022. Secret weapon slash somewhat under the radar player that will likely make a bigger impact than everyone thinks. Can't use that as a title. It's definitely way too long. Secret weapons. I do it every year. Really excited about this one. Some teams it was tough. Some teams got multiple, but I got one for every team. Our lovely super followers over on Twitter who get bonus content and involvement in leagues and videos will get a bonus 15 extra secret weapons. Some couple teams have multiple on there, so that'll be over there on Twitter. Follow our Twitter, live updates, news, rumors, talking during live games, and yes, including the preseason games, which start tonight. Very excited about that. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on here on our channel. Full NFL coverage. Cannot wait for our in-season videos, especially those pick'ems. I cannot wait to do those. Here's our Twitter. Yep, live updates, everything. You guys know the drill. You're missing out if you're not following that thing over there. And again, if you super follow us on Twitter, you get all this bonus content, more during the season involvement. You'll be in pick'ems, you'll be in fantasy league, and there'll be a separate pick'ems league scenario there for them. 15 bonus secret weapons after this video for our super followers. Start with the Jets. Jets didn't really have like this super secret guy that I felt good about because I want all these. In this video, I want to get a lot of these guys making big impacts. I want to look good from this video, right? So got to find that guy that's going to make an impact and is kind of under the radar. Wasn't a super secret one for the Jets. But Tyler CONKLIN, who I think, people didn't really know much about Tyler CONKLIN until the Jets signed him to a pretty decent deal. And then people realizing, all right, maybe he was pretty productive for the Vikings last year. Maybe he's solid. But I think most people look at it as CJ Uzomah, maybe as the Jets' best tight end, which he could be. And then people view it as a deep tight end room. I'm actually going to go with the somewhat bold prediction that CONKLIN will be their best tight end, most productive, I'll say, tight end this year. Looking good in training camp. Then they'll use him a lot in the red zone. Seem to use him on those quick slants as well, I see in training camp. Doesn't mean a whole lot, but he's sneaky. He's getting better. Sneaky good receiver. I think he fits Zach Wilson ball pretty well. So watch out for CONKLIN being maybe one of the more productive receiving tight ends in football, perhaps. Patriots really like this one. Some teams are just better than others for the secret weapons video. ANFERNEE JENNINGS, who kind of under the radar player now. He was at Alabama, so he wasn't that underrated then, but it was a solid pass rusher. He's been with the Patriots for a couple years now, and now I think he's ready to kind of break out, but at the same time, kind of be that under-the-radar secret weapon type of guy. I think people expect, obviously, Matthew Judon, but also maybe Josh Uche, which those could be the starters, but I'd watch out for Jennings. Maybe passing up Uche, maybe being more productive, whether he's behind him or not, but hearing good things from camp as well. So that's a good thing for ANFERNEE JENNINGS there. They need somebody to step up. That could be the guy. Bills, second-year player, Boogie Basham, Carlos Basham, goes by Boogie now, who can play off the edge and inside. A little quiet last year, and everyone thinks of the Bills. They got Von Miller. They got Greg Rousseau, their first-round draft pick from last year. And then maybe you mentioned a guy like A.J. Epinesa before Boogie Basham. But watch out for Basham, because he came in. It's like, what is this guy? Is he more of a DN, more of an inside guy? Maybe he's found maybe more of his role. Maybe the Bills can move him around a bit, too, playing that DN, playing that 3 technique perhaps. They lost some interior guys. They did gain some as well, but so maybe they can use him quite a bit there. He was a good player in college. I still think we can see a lot more from him going forward. Dolphins going to go Andrew Van Ginkel, their pass rusher, stand-up pass rusher, really fits their scheme, I feel like. And I think people think of the Dolphins pass rushers. What do you think about when you think of the Dolphins? We get a variety of different types. First, what you think of, they're all different in ways, but they got Jalen Phillips, who's a stud. They got Melvin Ingram. They got Emmanuel Ugbo, who moves around a bit as well. So you don't really think Van Ginkel, but he's talented. And he's looking pretty good in training camp as well. So maybe it's just about him getting an opportunity. If he gets that opportunity, I think he's gonna make the most of it there. So, but they're starting to look pretty good at that position with the different types of edge rushers and the bodies, the depth that they have there. So that's a guy that's definitely underrated. Commanders didn't really have a lot of obvious ones here. I went with Brian Robinson Jr. I actually thought about Sam Howell. Like, what if? Because I like Sam Howell. He's my quarterback too. I really like him with the Commanders. What if he gets on the field? Could a backup quarterback, and right now a third-string quarterback be the secret weapon? I thought about it. It would have been pretty damn bold because a good shot he doesn't touch the field this year. But Well, Brian Robinson Jr., who I really liked out of Alabama. Weird seeing an underrated Alabama running back, but we actually got one this year. Brian Robinson Jr., who is a physical runner that is a great blocker and a very underrated pass catcher. So I was a big fan of his. He was a top 5 back of mine. So, and the Commanders like to use a group of running backs. Antonio Gibson's the guy, right? But they like to use a group. They'll use McKissick. They'll use Robinson Jr. So that's kind of a sneaky guy that I think is better than everyone thinks and may make more of an impact than everyone thinks, even though Gibson definitely is and should be the guy. I was a big Gibson. Me and the Commanders, we're on the same page when it comes to running backs, it looks like. Because I was a huge Gibson guy coming out of Memphis. Some people were ranking him as a receiver. I was like, this guy's a legit running back. And I was a huge Robinson guy as well. So wishing those backs the best there. The Giants going to go Aaron Robinson, second-year corner from Central Florida. What people forget, this was an Alabama guy. This is an Alabama recruit, so Alabama don't just recruit anybody. So you know he was talented, but they had loads of cornerback talent there. Robinson, I think getting injured at one point kind of hurt his chances there. Then he was like, all right, I'm going to go start. So he goes play for Central Florida, has a hell of a career there. Gets drafted. Some people are like, it's an outside corner that, hey, he kind of looks like a slot corner, though. But no, I think he's outside corner. I think he's going to start for the Giants opposite of Dory Jackson this year. And I think he's going to be better than what people think. You probably forget about him a little bit. So I went Aaron Robinson for the Giants. Cowboys going to go Noah Brown. We know it feels like they're a little short on receivers. And compared to how they used to be, yeah, they kind of are. But maybe not as short as people think. Because Noah Brown's impressing in training camp, and that's a guy that could step up. We think all these guys missing. Somebody's got to step up. Jalen Tolbert, I think, has a legit shot to do that. But what about Noah Brown? Again, hearing good things from training camp, and they're going to need multiple guys to step up, But they have guys there, so it's not like they desperately need somebody. They got guys like Tolbert and Brown to step up. So watch out for Noah Brown. Could he be? I think people are talking about, including myself, talking about Tolbert maybe being that next guy. Maybe while Gallup is out. I'd say maybe not so fast, actually. It could be Brown. So that's a good one for the Cowboys. Eagles really only felt great about one option here. I did a breakout video for every team, a breakout player for every team. I try not to duplicate because it's a pretty similar video, but I duplicate. I used Gainwell for that one, and I'm using him again. I thought about Kayvon Wallace because I really like Kayvon Wallace out of Clemson. We haven't really seen a whole lot of him yet, and the Eagles seem like they're getting a little more creative with their defense this year. I think mainly centered around a guy like Hassan Reddick, where we're going to blitz more. We're going to use the versatile guys more. We're going to move guys around more. I think that's what it looks like they're doing. And Wallace is kind of one of those guys, one of those safety, box, slot, linebacker type guys from Clemson. So I thought about Wallace, but there's a shot. Maybe he doesn't get much playing time still. But Gainwell is kind of like, you think, secret weapon. It's just like, God, Gainwell kind of fits that pretty damn well. It's like a running back, receiver, gadget type guy. The Eagles, that's kind of what their offense is made for. So hear about him running with the ones in training camp, with running back and receivers. So that's a good sign. It's a good sign for the Eagles there, for Gainwell and the Eagles. Ravens going to go Isaiah Likely, who was a rookie tight end of theirs. They drafted another rookie tight end, and Charlie Kolar, who's actually been injured. So maybe that helps Likely's chances a little bit more, but two different types of tight ends. Yeah, Likely was a weapon at Coastal Carolina. Line him up as a receiver and running deep. He looked like a receiver, and you line him up in the backfield, lead blocker, or kind of get some interesting gadget plays with him going. It just feels like a Ravens guy, perfect fit, and you can use him in unique ways. And it's just another target. They need guys to kind of fill that role because they have Rashad Bateman, and they have some other guys that can play. They have Mark Andrews too. Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, obviously. Mark Andrews being one of the top tight ends in football. But for receiver, it's kind of just Bateman and some other guys, again, that could play, maybe step up. But they need somebody else that could be a target, legit target. Why not the unique Likely here that fits the Ravens offense very well? Browns going to go Harrison Bryant. Not the most under-the-radar player on this video, maybe similar to another tight end we talked about, Tyler Conklin. Like these are kind of known guys, but I don't know. I think people forget that the Browns got rid of Hooper, and they realized that Njoku got a big amount of money. So it's like, I think people think of it as like, it's Njoku's probably going to tear it up. He's going to continue to get better. You forget about Harrison Bryant a little bit. I think he'd be just as productive as Njoku. They'll use both, two different tight ends, specifically in the red zone there. So that's a guy to watch out for. Now it's his time kind of to get going. Steelers. The Steelers didn't have any obvious ones, in my opinion. I thought about GENARD Avery, though. Came in the NFL, and it was like, is he off-ball linebacker? Is he an edge rusher? Teams trying him out at edge rusher. That's where the Steelers are playing him. And maybe he kind of can take off now, and then kind of factoring in that the Steelers have a legit starting duo, but after that, not much depth. So it's Avery. Avery's got a good opportunity there with a good defense that produces pass rushers that produce sacks, and he'd be kind of that lead, as of right now, that lead guy on the rotation perhaps. So Owen Avery, who hasn't really worked out for teams so far, he's kind of been bouncing around, but actually could take off a little bit here with the Steelers. The Bengals were one of those teams where I could have made a video of the Bengals' secret weapons. There's a few teams like that. So I did mention that our super followers on Twitter will be getting 15 bonus secret weapons because there's some teams that just have some really good ones that I could not include in this video because every year I do one per team, and the Bengals have 2 on that extra list there, 2 second-year players. But I went with the rookie and Zach Carter. If you remember when they took him, I actually loved this pick. Not too many people were talking about Zach Carter, but I love the pick because Carter's underrated. He's a good player, but it's such a good fit, and we are going to see that in year 1. I'm very confident about this. That Carter's going to be productive. He, at Florida, when you watch him, he's listed as the end. He played off the edge a little bit, played over the tackle, and what he did was stop the run at a pretty high level. Now you kind of see he's strong. He stops the run. He's a big body guy. Maybe move on the inside. That's why I ranked him with the defensive lineman, not the edge rushers. Move on the inside in the NFL. Maybe a 3 technique, and then he can stop the run like he's already done, and he can use his length and his athleticism to beat guards and get after the quarterback. And it's just so perfect. The Bengals, who are doing a damn good job at developing these defensive linemen, we saw that last year especially, get Zach Carter, and they're going to play him and kind of replace Ogunjobi, even though he's probably going to be starting as a second string, as a key rotation guy. It's just so damn perfect. I think Zach Carter is going to wow some people. I feel really good about that fit and his upside, tremendous upside here. So I went with Carter. Bengals had a lot of good options. I have 2 of them in that super followers bonus. Secret weapons and 2 second-year guys there that it was tough not going with some of those guys, but love me some Zach Carter. Lions, Will Harris, interesting one because Will Harris, everyone's like, he's a safety. Lions got him at corner this year, going in the second year with this staff. They see something at corner, and they actually have him listed right now going into preseason as a starting corner opposite Amani Oruwariye. And you can't base too much off that. Okuda's been looking pretty good. Kuda's still got that upside. You think it's got to be him and Oruwariye, but who had a pretty good year last year. But Will Harris, he can play safety, he can play corner, he probably can play in a slot. They get creative with him. They will use him. Right now he's listed as a starter. That's a great sign. You like to think he has upside at the cornerback position as well because he's still a young player and he's barely played there. So that's kind of a sneaky guy to look out for here for those reasons. So I'm excited to watch the Lions, especially their defense, because they got a lot of young players that I'm still excited about, or, not even still wouldn't be the right word to use on it because they just drafted him this year or last year. So we'll see when they take off there. But Will Harris is an interesting one to watch for. Bears going to go with their rookie receiver, VELUS Jones Jr. from Tennessee. I think some people ripped the pick because maybe an older rookie, 25 years old, but I think he's, at the same time, it's weird saying he's got upside in the NFL compared to what he did in college when he's an older rookie. It is kind of weird putting those together, but I think it makes sense. You watch him at Tennessee, they mainly kind of just use him in gadget plays. When they got him the ball downfield, looked pretty good. I thought it was the matter of just getting him more targets, and I think you bring him into the Bears where he has a realistic shot to be receiver 2 after Darnell Mooney. He's going to get more targets, so that's why he may have more upside despite being one of the older rookies in the NFL here. And the Bears, may believe that it's kind of obvious that they might be outmatched some weeks, a little thin at receiver, quarterback that's still learning. So they may have to get creative. I think they will get creative. And you have this gadget guy, VELUS Jones Jr., a very good, speedy gadget guy that also going to do more than just be a gadget guy. I think they're going to take advantage of that. I think they're going to use him a bit. You see end around screens. They try to get him the ball downfield as well. Use that speed, use that after the catch ability. So Jones Jr. is who I went with the Bears. They have another one I have on that super followers list there. Some rookies. They got a couple rookies that could be kind of secret weapons there. Vikings. When Armon Watts, and Armon Watts had a sneaky 5 sacks last year. People don't realize that. Not a big name. People probably don't even know who he is. He's been a key depth guy, and now he's listed to be a starter. They're switching to a 3-4, and he's listed. It kind of looks like he's going to be a 3-4 end. That's a big body 3-4 end, but he got after the quarterback last year because they have Harrison Phillips at nose tackle. They have Dalvin Tomlinson for D tackle. So, be interesting. But Watts was sneaky productive last year. Now he gets the nod as the starter, it looks like. Yeah, so I think he can be sneaky, even more sneaky productive this year. So, I felt pretty good about Watts for the Vikings. Packers, maybe not so secret anymore. Romeo Doubs has been tearing it up in training camp. We heard Rodgers talking about – if Rodgers is talking about the guy, that's a fantastic sign. If Rodgers likes the guy, he's going to be playing for sure. And we knew it when they drafted him out of Nevada. If you watch the tape at Nevada, this guy's a deep ball specialist, very good at snatching touchdowns, especially in the red zone as well, can track the ball well. Just think of Rodgers, his deep ball, and just picture Rodgers rolling out, launching that deep ball to Romeo Doubs touchdown. So I think he's sometimes a lot of time there's some hype around training camp guys, and we don't really see it. I got a feeling about this one. I think we're going to see him end up their receiver 2 or 3 this year. So excited about Doubs with the Packers. Will be more productive than you think. Colts got a couple of rookies. I used one in that Super Followers bonus secret weapons gets coming to for our Super Followers on Twitter. But one, Nick Cross, the rookie from Maryland, which everybody knew about Nick Cross coming out. People liked him. Obviously, a good safety, a good draft pick. But when they drafted him, I think majority of people, what their views were on Nick Cross in the Colts was, all right, it's a good pick. He's probably a backup right away with an early opportunity to start. And even though he's played free and strong, it feels like more of a free safety because of his speed and his range in the back end. Now we fast forward to this point, and all of that seems to be not really the truth. It sounds like he's gonna start right away because he's looked damn good in training camp, and it sounds like it's gonna be at strong safety, not free safety. Now he did have some moments there, and he had some moments attacking downhill up in the box, so he had some upside at strong safety. But again, I keep hearing good things at training camp, so that's kind of that. Yeah, maybe more of an impact guy way earlier and at a slightly different position than we thought. So that will make some kind of a secret weapon here for the Colts. So excited to watch him here in preseason. Titans got a couple rookies as well, and I included one guy in that bonus for the Super Followers. But the tight end, Chigo Kwonkwo, and if you remember when they drafted him, I called him a mini Jonnu Smith, kind of a Jonnu Smith type, poor man Jonnu Smith clone there for the Titans who loved Jonnu Smith. They loved using him. Then he left for a lot of money for the Patriots. And it's just the type of tight end he is. We just had 2 Maryland rookies back to back. Just realized that. But the way Maryland used them, it was like, bubble screens, end arounds, games, and just let him go to work because he's fast, he's strong, he kind of looks like a running back in the open field. He can catch as well. So the Titans are going to take advantage of that. They got Austin Hooper in there as well, but they can use both of them. Titans love using tight ends. They got 2 totally different ones. Okwonkwo is going to be playing a lot. He's going to be playing a lot. So for the Titans, in my opinion, he's going to make some flashy plays as well. So that's that secret weapon here for them. Jags didn't really have any super obvious ones. One with the second-year safety, Andre CISCO. Very glad to see him listed as a starting free safety. Not strong, because there were some weirdos out there that thought he was a strong safety coming out of Syracuse because he did get some snaps there. But you watch the tape, and he's just the best part about him is his range, speed, athleticism, playmaking ability on the ball in the back end. Like, this guy is definitely a free safety. And then they were kind of trying him out at strong safety last year with that last staff as well. So I'm glad he's at free safety. Watching him at Syracuse, I'm like, this is a guy that, he's got some negatives. He's not the best tackler in the world, but he's just his ball skills are just so good. Like, this guy could possibly lead the NFL in interceptions one day, so I'm very glad, again, to see him at free safety, see him in the starter in the first depth chart for the Jaguars. He could be a sneaky playmaker this year for them. Maybe people are forgetting about him right now, but I think he's got a good future. Texans going to go with Dameon Pierce, the rookie running back, which is a lot of people that like Dameon Pierce out there. Everyone loved that draft pick for the Texans, but you see him kind of down there on the depth chart right now. I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. I think they kind of have the rookies a little lower for the most part, just because some teams do that. But it kind of sounds like he's been the best running back at training camp so far. And they're pretty deep at running back, but I think Pierce will take over as the guy and separate himself from those other guys there. So he's kind of their maybe people thinking, is he going to be that guy? I really think he will end up being that guy, their guy. Saints didn't really have any obvious ones either besides, ALONTAE Taylor, who's one of my guys in the draft. Was a big fan of him. The cornerback from Tennessee was higher on him than anyone, and I felt very good when the Saints took him because the Saints, I usually feel good about my corners that I'm high on. It kind of worked out in the past, but the Saints, I like to think they know their corners. They know their DBs there. They work very well with them, developing them. So Taylor coming in there, and the Saints do got a deep secondary, so you may say, is Taylor going to get on the field? But they love using as many guys as they can there, and I think they got a really talented one in Taylor. And there's some parts of his games where it's like, yeah, this guy probably could be a pretty good safety, even though I love him at corner more. So you like to think he can play corner, safety, or in a slot for them. So I think they'll find ways to use him. And I think he's going to be really good. He's a really good playmaker. Love the length and speed as well. So I went with Taylor for the Saints. For the Bucs, I went with the rookie running back Rachaad White, who was probably the second best receiving back in the class after James Cook. He almost looks like a receiver sometimes with the length, the hands, the body control as well. It kind of just gives you receiver vibes when you watch him at Arizona State. But a fantastic runner as well. It's kind of the guy the Bucs been looking for to pair behind Leonard Fournette. Ronald Jones gone. I think White's got a clear shot to be that running back too during the year. So I think they'll use him. Excited to watch him with Tom Brady there. Panthers didn't have any clear-cut ones, but I went with Marquis Haynes, which I actually liked a few years ago, more than a few years ago, because he 28 now, so somewhat of a veteran here. But I liked him out of Ole Miss, and I was surprised the lack of opportunities he was getting. The last couple years, been getting a little bit more, maybe a little more productive, and now the Panthers kind of got an opening out there. I do think Gross Matos will start at the other edge spot, but I think a pretty close to even split with him and Haynes will get his opportunities here, and that could change. They tried to sign Carlos Dunlap, missed out on him. He went to the Chiefs, so they could add somebody else because it does look like they need someone. But if it stays the same, Haynes could be pretty damn productive, kind of a sneaky that a lot of people probably don't even know his name right now. So that is why I went with Haynes. Falcons, you might have thought I would have went with Tyler Algier because I've been hyping him up. He could take over as that running back, but I went with Rashaan Evans. Here, who was a top prospect from Alabama. And if you remember at Tennessee his earlier years, he was pretty damn good. I mean, I go back, I remember that when the Titans took down Tom Brady and the Patriots in the playoff game, Rashaan Evans was a monster in that game. And then all of a sudden something happened. He kind of went downhill after that a little bit. Titans linebacker room also became pretty crowded. Jayon Brown was kind of at his peak then before getting injured. David Long Jr., they kind of got a sneaky pick with him. They added Zach Cunningham last year, who's a stud, obviously. So maybe that took away some reps as well. And he goes to the Falcons. Maybe play that Foye Oluokun role where it was a lot of production there. And I think he can be productive, maybe get back on track. Another thing, Dean Pease, defense coordinator, he was actually with Tennessee a few years back. I think that helps as well. So Evans is a guy that I think people are maybe starting to be like, yeah, even though he looked good at first, it turns out this guy's a bust. There was a lot of expectation for this guy. I'd say not so fast. On that. So that's the secret weapon I went for the Falcons there. The Broncos, I mentioned the Bengals were a good one for this video. The Broncos were a really good one for this video. I can make a video on the Broncos' secret weapons, and they're full of them. There's just a few teams like that. So, again, our super followers are getting bonus secret weapons, and the Broncos got 2 on there, I believe. But I had to go Baron Browning. It was tough not going one of their receivers who's been tearing it up at camp, but I had to go Baron Browning for sure, who they moved to the edge rush position. But if you remember pre-draft process, we talked about Browning, talked about every player. I liked him as an edge guy. He got some snaps there for Ohio State, but he played kind of all over the place. I mean, they put him at slot corner at times, not that we thought where he would play, but he was mainly an off-the-ball linebacker that had some upside doing some other things. So the Broncos move him to the edge spot, and you think like that. I think that's great. But, you got to learn a little bit more. Maybe he'll get going in next year, 2 years, but it just sounds like he's really taken off already. He looks like a natural, and he's just such a unique player where it kind of works as the weapon part of secret weapon that you can move him around a bit, and people don't know what to expect from him. And again, he's been looking really good in training camp, so I like that. I think we're going to see a bit of Browning, and they have Chubb and Gregory starting, but great duo. But you do wonder, how many snaps those guys going to play, how many games those guys going to play. So it's good to have a guy like Browning in there, a couple other guys, some sneaky guys there that to step up rotation-wise, not overdo it with those players. So Browning's a sneaky weapon to watch out for here, but the Broncos got a lot of those types of players, it feels like, so excited about them. Raiders going to go with TYRON Billy Johnson, who, besides that drop, had a really good Hall of Fame game. That drop was, he's got to catch that. If you watch the Hall of Fame game, got to catch that. It's a significant one where the difference of catching it, dropping it, but he still sees some good things from him, even on that play, the way he gained separation with the speed and using his length to separate without interfering. See some good footwork, he looked quicker. We know he has deep speed, but he looked quicker. The separation after the catch, so some good signs there. So I went with him here. This is a guy that, maybe he doesn't make a team. It's possible because, they got Adams, they got Renfro already in place. Then it's kind of a battle. Keelan Cole, DeMarcus Robinson, Mac Hollins, and then Tyron Johnson. So some of those guys may not make the team. One or two of those guys may not make the team. But Tyron Johnson showing some flashes there. And when he's got the opportunity with the Chargers, I thought he looked pretty good. So maybe an underrated player here. So excited to watch him in more preseason games here. Speaking of the Chargers, we went a little deep with this one. Deep secret weapon. RAHEEM LAYNE out of Indiana, their safety that's been showing some flashes during camp. I didn't really have a big obvious one for the Chargers, so I went LAYNE. I think the Chargers are going to keep a lot of defensive backs on that roster. It is tough because they are deep. It's hard to make that roster. So maybe Lane's kind of a bubble guy, but he's looked pretty damn good, for them. So that's kind of a deeper secret weapon to watch out for. To the Chiefs, there's two rookies for the Chiefs I really, really liked. It was tough to pick one. Included the other one in our bonus secret weapons that $2 will get. But ISIAH Pacheco, you've probably been hearing about him because people are raving about him there at the Chiefs camp. The rookie running back from Rutgers, showing a lot of signs that he can possibly play right away. Even showing that he can catch the ball downfield is great. It's a great sign. And out of Rutgers, what I did like about him, kind of a high motor, hit the hole real hard, try to run somebody over, quick, mean. Sometimes it hurt him a little bit because head down and kind of just running into traffic. But could clean that up a little bit, just relax a little bit. But he's been showing some good things at camp here and really good things about him. The tough part is that they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Within the Chiefs running backs, you think they use a lot of them, so it's good. It's kind of, there's nothing solidified. There's nothing firm on who's starting and who's second, who's third. So that's the good for Pacheco. But yeah, the bad could be they have Edwards-Helaire is probably running back 1. They have Ronald Jones, which you say might be running back 2. They have Jerick McKinnon, who could be running back 3. So it's a little tough for Pacheco, but just hearing really good things. And the Chiefs like to use multiple running backs, so I do think they will use him. Cardinals going to go with the running back, going to go with Eno Benjamin, and they kind of have a battle going for that running back 2. James Conner, obviously the running back 1. In the battles between Benjamin and a former Chief, we just talked about the Chiefs, Darrell Williams, who was solid for them, and Keontae Ingram, who I really liked, if you remember from USC. I thought he was extremely underrated. Former Texas Longhorn, went to USC last year, underrated. But yeah, they got those guys battling for the running back too, and it sounds like Benjamin's leading the way. And I remember preseason last year, and remember him at Arizona State, this guy was legit. He trucked somebody last year. I remember in preseason. This guy was legit, and then you look at him at training camp this year, he looks bigger, faster, stronger, just looks better. And then you hear Cliff Kingsbury talk, and I think he's mentioned in multiple interviews that he really likes what he sees from Benjamin. Then you look at the depth chart to start preseason here. Number 1 running back is Benjamin, so I think that's pretty interesting. So he could be, and they like using that 1-2 punch, that duo, maybe the trio this year perhaps. They don't have Edmonds anymore, so Benjamin could be that guy they use quite a bit. You don't want to overdo James Conner, even though he's a fantastic back. So yeah, Benjamin one to watch there. They got some sneaky guys that could step up as that running back too, as we mentioned. Seahawks got to go with the rookie corner, COBY Bryant. Looks like they definitely got one with him. And I thought was kind of one of the more pro-ready corners there. Very good man coverage experience. It's coming from that Cincinnati secondary. Makes sense there. Felt like an NFL secondary, the way it was coached and the way it played. And just great things from camp from COBY Bryant. Just feels like that pro-ready corner. You see one-on-ones, and really the receiver should win one-on-ones in training camp every time. They have a big-time advantage, corners at a disadvantage. But you see COBY Bryant holding his own against a guy like DK Metcalf. That's a great sign. I think that's why those drills exist. If you see a corner or DB really stand out, it's a good thing in those drills because it's very difficult. So Bryant looks like they got one. I think he's got to be their starter. I mean, a little thin at cornerback. You think going into this that Sidney Jones is their cornerback one, and I'd predict that him and Bryant will start, and I'll actually predict that Coby Bryant will be their best corner by the end of this year. So, I'll go with Bryant there. 49ers didn't really have an obvious one. Went to TYVARIUS Moore, their safety, who they're kind of trying at strong safety. If you go back to, and right now he's not listed as a starter there. Hufanga, the second-year safety from USC, is, and of course they have Jimmy Ward at free safety. So it's a little tough, but kind of going back to, what was that Super Bowl year that Jimmy Ward really took off too, and then he was about to be a free agent, and I don't know if you remember, we kind of all got the feeling was made out to be that, they might lose Jimmy Ward, and they have this guy, TYVARIUS Moore, a free safety, to step up in a spot. They signed back Jimmy Ward, then Moore was back to being a backup, and now they're kind of trying to maybe use him at strong safety because the free safety spot's pretty firm with Ward there. And I still think Moore is a good playmaker. He's got upside, so I think he could start, he could win that job, but also, we saw Ward come up and play in the slot a little bit last year. At times it's weird, kind of free safety or slot. So maybe Moore could fill in at free safety if he's not the starting strong safety there. So could see a little bit more from Moore this year, possibly. So went with him for the Niners. And the Rams went with TUTU Atwell, second year, speedy, considered undersized receiver from Louisville. And some people maybe kind of rip that pick because he's so undersized. I don't really care about that. I just care about him figuring out, getting on the field, staying healthy, because he could be a legit playmaker there. I think the Rams kind of want to get him going, get unique with that offense, get creative. And some good things from camp as well. I do think that is due to Van Jefferson being out and Odell being a free agent. Even if he was there, he would be out as well. But it's a good sign. It's a good sign. But I've been hearing good ththings about Atwell and Skoranek. But if Van Jefferson, because don't forget, obviously they have Cooper Kupp and then they have Allen Robinson now. And if OBJ comes back, somebody's not playing, and it could be Atwell, but that'd be a little tough. But OBJ would miss some time, which would give a guy like Atwell a shot, you would think, even if they sign OBJ back. I'm saying he would miss time there. So, hoping Atwell really steps up. They drafted him a lot earlier than we expected him to, but they got a plan here, and it could really take off this year for the LA Rams. So, I'm really excited to watch all these players, especially here since preseason starting. We're going to see a lot of these guys. And I do this video every year, and a lot of these guys end up making an impact. So I'm very curious to see which ones do it. And there's always guys that end up being a bigger, a crazy impact. So I'm curious to see which of the guys, those guys, who they are, But again, super followers on Twitter will get bonus content, involvement, and then for this video they will get 15 more secret weapons. So check it out there. If you're not following us on Twitter the normal way, then go ahead and do that, because we got live coverage, everything NFL. Same thing goes here on the channel. Like, subscribe to notification on, all that, much appreciated. That is going to do it for this one. Time to get ready for some preseason football. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.